Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to offer dana, then please do go to justthiszen.org/giving. Your support really does make a huge difference. Thank you so much.
Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. I'm aware that you will inevitably have been doing a lot of caring for things today, as you do every day of your life. If you are in Hawaii, not so much yet. If you are in the Midwest, quite a bit already. On the East Coast, even more. And in Europe, moving towards night and rest from caring for things. And I'm actually thinking about the small acts of caring for yourself and for things, not just the larger space you may inhabit in caring for others. You may be familiar with a book by Diane Rossetto, particularly if you have explored the precepts, Waking Up to What You Do, a Zen practice for meeting every situation with intelligence and compassion. I think there could be a companion book to this one, waking up to how you do things, or waking up to how you care for things. Things as apparently simple as how do you lift a cup or open your front door. I have an electric toothbrush which is timed for 2 minutes and requires no assistance from me to do its job. However, I still find myself sometimes gripping it too tightly and trying to assist it to do its work. Since I returned from hospital last month, I've become more aware how I do small things. And how do we, as Diane Rossetto suggests, meet every situation with intelligence and compassion, even the smallest action with our hands. Recently, I've been immersed in reading a newly published book of Suzuki Roshi's teachings entitled Becoming Yourself. The creation of Becoming Yourself was a loving collaboration between Jiryu Rushman Beiler and his teacher Sojun Mel Weitzman. In his beautiful introduction to the book, Jiryu writes, over the course of many decades of devotion to Suzuki Roshi and his teachings, Sojun Roshi had collected a pile of folders with what he felt were the brightest gems from the mountain of his teacher's words. Juryo and Sojun met in various locations between 2018 and 2021 and put the book together. Sojun Roshi died at the age of 91 in January 2021. And after Sojun Roshi's passing, Juryo continued with the endeavor to make it possible for the book to be published this year. I find the love, care and attention of Sojun Roshi and Juryo in creating this book very touching. In particular, that Sojun Roshi, in his late 80s, would devote a significant amount of his energy of his last years to sharing the work of his teacher who died 50 years ago. I was reflecting on what happens to me when I read Becoming Yourself, and I was really surprised to hear the words from long, long ago. The peace which passeth all understanding came to me. I looked it up and it comes from Philippians chapter 4, verse 7. The peace which passeth all understanding. I think these are the moments when everything drops away and there is just this. And as I was reflecting just before offering this talk, the first part of my name is Peaceful Way. And I hadn't connected this with the peace which passeth all understanding. And I think I would wish for you and for everyone that experience that goes beyond any concept or understanding that we can actually receive from these teachings. These are precious, precious moments. These are Suzuki Roshi's very first words in Becoming Yourself. Because we have so much useless rubbish in our mind, it is hard to share our feeling with people, with things, with trees, or with mountains. Even though we are right in the middle of the woods, it is still hard to appreciate the feeling of the woods. When we can really appreciate the feeling of the woods, that is Zazen. When we can really appreciate the feeling of the woods, that is Zazen. To say we have so much useless rubbish in our mind is quite a strong and provocative statement to start a talk. In Jiryu's introduction to the book, there is a section entitled A Note on Laughter. He writes, "A most difficult thing in editing Suzuki Roshi's talks is to fully convey the depth of his joy, the buoyancy, warmth, and laughter that is palpable when one hears recordings of his voice, but which can be missed when one just reads his words. He points out that Suzuki Roshi said of Kumazara Zenji, his teacher at Heiji, as he was trained very well in Zazen, he was always serious, but he was always funny at the same time. It was not just seriousness, because it always had an element of happiness or joy in it." And Jiryu suggests that if, as you read, it is ever unclear what he means by some comment, or if his words ever land as odd or even harsh, please read the passage, imagining laughs and laughter notes sprinkling the section, and notice how the meaning might shift. Chances are good that this is how he meant it. Isn't that lovely? Laughter notes sprinkling the section. Would that we could sprinkle laughter notes around for everyone. So, returning to the opening words of the book again, I imagine they would be punctuated by laughter. Because we have so much useless rubbish in our mind, laughter, it is hard to share our feeling with people, with things, with trees, or with mountains. Even though we're right in the middle of the woods, laughter, it is still hard to appreciate the feeling of the woods. When we can really appreciate the feeling of the woods, that is Zazen. Flint once shared the story that when Thich Nhat Hanh once visited, I think it was Green Gulch Farm, he was asked if he had any comments to make about his stay. He apparently said, "You could smile a little." During one of the retreats I attended in Switzerland between 2011 and 2018, I went for Dokusan with Flint during the early evening when everyone else was sitting. I don't remember what we explored. The Dokusan room was at the other end of the hotel from the Zendo, overlooking a meadow with the hills and mountains beyond. Bo Seat is an old building. The interior is mostly wood, reminding me of a scene of a country house in a play by Chekhov. Afterwards, after Dokusan, we walked through the Zendo, through the dimly lit rooms. The old floorboards responded to our footsteps, creaking with character and personality. As I was about to take off my shoes, Flint stopped me and said, "Take care how you place your feet on the Zendo floor." I remember this to be one of the most direct teachings he has ever shared with me, and it has stayed with me ever since. Perhaps I was ready and ripe for such direct teaching. Just take care. Just take care how you move around this world. Perhaps he recognized that I had a lot of useless rubbish in my mind, and like Suzuki Roshi, he really wanted me to appreciate the feeling of being in the middle of the woods and mountains in Switzerland, of just being in this world. And I wonder if taking care, mostly in silence, with my whole being, starting with my feet, is the entryway to the peace that passeth all understanding. I recently read of a Rinzai teacher. Rinzai focuses largely on the exploration of koans, who listened to his students' footsteps as they approached his room for dokusan, for practice discussion. He would send students away if their footsteps indicated an unreadiness to engage in exploration. Isn't that fascinating? We focus so much on what's in our heads and what we're going to say and what we think, and we spend so little attention to what is at the other end of our body. And this teacher actually sent people away if he felt actually they weren't ready to engage in exploration. When Flint was here in the UK in 2023, he loved the BBC programme The Repair Shop. It's set in a beautiful barn in Sussex in the south of England. And the participants bring a treasured object and talk about what it means to them, to the people who are going to repair the object they bring. Usually the treasured object belongs to a loved one, a parent, child, sister, brother or friend who has died. They tell stories about them. The participants are looking for intimacy with their lost loved ones. The craftspeople attune to each person and ask, what would you like us to do? What would you like to see when you return? One participant said, I would like you to make it whole again. What a great description that is for practice. To make it whole again, please. So let me become myself. A man in his 70s brought in a small writing box he found in his loft after the death of his sister. In it he found a letter explaining that his sister was in fact his mother and his parents were in fact his grandparents. The participants entrust the possessions to the repairers with all the feelings that come with this. In a similar way, we entrust ourselves to this practice. We see the great care, attention and love with which the picture restorers, jewelers, book restorers, clock menders restore each precious possession. They cherish each possession. This resonates with the great care we're invited to take with our practice in the Zendo and to extend this into our daily lives. This is perhaps harder to do if your access to practice is only online, and that is why we sometimes say the room you Zoom in is your Zendo for the duration of the meeting. Sometimes I think we are like the monk in case 7 of the Mumun Khan, Josh's Wash Your Bowl. A monk asked Joshu, I have just entered the monastery. I beg you for instructions, teacher. Joshu replied, have you eaten your porridge yet? The monk said, yes, I have. Joshu said, then go and wash your bowl. The monk had an insight. Like the monk, we arrive looking for some insights and illuminations about the teachings, and we're just invited to do something. Sit, walk, bow, chant, light candles, extinguish candles, greet, clean, wash up. Catherine Dekai Senchin Griffith says that the monk is each of us earnestly asking not just how should I practice, but also who is myself. The koan reveals that everyday activity is none other than the expression of our essential nature, our everyday activity, each small thing we have done and we do. The Mumonkan was compiled by Wumen Hukai from 1183 to 1260. That's when he lived. And for each koan, he wrote a verse. So I'm just going to read you the verse and just read a commentary on it, which I think relates to my whole talk. He said, because it is so extremely clear, it took so long to come to realization. If you know that candlelight is made up of fire, then the rice would have been cooked long ago. So I'm not going to go into that in any great detail, but I do want to read Hugo's comment on candlelight. He says, if the candle is very steady, then the luminosity of the fire expands throughout the room and you see things very clearly. This means that if the ability to focus, to stay with one thing, taking care of your feet in the Zendo, is present, it allows you to be clear, to be more deeply aware of what's happening. In the process of staying with that one thing, you understand the playful nature of your mind. You see right through all the fabrications, constructs, narratives, and judgments of yourself, others, and the environment. So these two aspects of focus and awareness are the foundations of Chan and indeed Zen practice. So I feel in being reminded to take care of my feet in the Zendo, that is exactly what is happening. Actually, just concentrate on this one important thing, and everything else will open up and be illuminated. Thank you very much. If you'd like to join me to explore how you manage things, how humor, teachings, please do join me. I'd love to meet you. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi, Josh. Thank you so much. It's a struggle to move with grace in everyday life for me. And it's something that I love about our service and Kinhin and all of the movements in the Zendo. And I think it has to do with getting things done. That's often where I am, and a lot of pushing.
Right. Yeah. And when things get done, how is that?
It's okay. It's there's yes, I guess some satisfaction, and there must be an accounting of myself through the getting things done, and I think like the moment that you described with Flint,
Yeah.
where he paused the two of you and made his suggestion, his guidance.
So something's really touching you about that?
Yeah, I think well, for one thing, in that telling, sharing of that, there's a lot of care from Flint to you, and guiding you towards care of your feet and the floor, and and I think maybe that's a little bit of a scary place.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess my list and my doing is my comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what you've got.
That's what I have.
Because it's like it's so what is the problem with
Um, Good question.
that?
Yeah. I guess, maybe I wouldn't be me if I didn't, have, and I remember you're saying at a time of a lot of busyness, a lot of things that you had to do that you shifted into. This is a very rich life. I've never forgotten that.
Mm,
So I do appreciate
mm,
that side of myself.
yeah,
I've had a few falls lately, so that's not helpful, to be unaware, you know,
mm,
which I think is what Flint helped you with, like to really open up your awareness of your body and care and movement.
yeah. And today I've been experimenting with what I'm going to be talking about, and I've um, I've been very much me and working with what I have to work with. So, um, it's really, I think, the title of Diane Rossetto's book is exploring with integrity and compassion. Yeah, um, meeting every situation with intelligence and compassion. So there's no kind of. I wonder if you're setting up a standard that you
Yes,
should
thank
have.
you for calling that out.
Yeah. And you're talking to somebody who I have a list, and I sometimes think, I'll relax when I've got through it. So it's not. It's everything is always a work in progress, and I'm sure you're resonating with a lot of people here. Um, that we have busy lives and
See,
things
Jessica.
things to get done, So I think the danger sometimes with a talk is you get caught, not you personally, we get caught with a standard, and they're more gentle invitations to explore and be kind to yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
it definitely gets easily into a duality for me.
yes,
And I remember Rossetto saying in all her instruction for the exercises that she provided, it was never don't do that. You know,
yes,
that's your pattern, don't do that. It was always observe,
yes,
observe and
and I,
yeah,
and I think take care of whether, for me, like with the toothbrush, holding it too tightly. There's some kind of suffering there where I'm kind of the toothbrush can do its job on its own without me gripping it and helping it. There's some way each time, like, okay, you could let go a little bit, Josh, here. So maybe the compassion is the way we can start to talk to ourselves when we're when we're doing these crazy things.
that we do.
We're all doing it. So the talk is just an invitation to notice where it's possible to find some peace, and maybe find some peace in self-acceptance as well. You're doing fine.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, Joel.
Hi, Josh. I also want to thank you for this talk. I want to start by asking, could you say again who it was that made the comment on the verse or the koan that you read before? Uh,
He's a teacher I'm really enjoying. So it's Gugo.
Guogu, maybe.
Yes, I think your pronunciation is probably more correct. And it's a book called Passing Through the Gateless Barrier.
Yes, thank you.
And
Okay,
his commentaries on the Mumonkan, and I'm really appreciating them. Yeah.
thank you. I really want to look that up.
Mm.
Um, I want to again thank you for this talk. I want to thank Rosemarie for coming forward with this deep reflection that brought up this vulnerability in her on this, reflecting on this intimate moment that you described with Flint, him just saying a simple thing about be careful where you, if I'm going to try and say it right, and I know I'll get many of the words wrong, but be careful where you place your feet in the Zendo.
Take care how you place your feet in the Zendo.
Take care how you place your feet. Thank you. Not be careful, but take care.
Take care. Yeah.
Right. And that immediately made sense within the context of the quote that you came up with from a participant in the repair shop, that the person wanted something to be made whole.
Yes.
And that it reflects also on what you just shared with Rosemarie back and forth. That wholeness is care for yourself as well as being aware to the of the aliveness of everything around you.
Yes.
Of all the things that will happen when you move your feet or stand still in the Zendo, and that each of those moments is irreplaceable and whole.
That's beautifully put, Joel. I'm thinking of the Zendo as you talk, and that feeling of potential wholeness from that practice.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also there was a kind of having come from Dokusan and kind of thinking I understood understood things, and then to be told take care, how you place your feet in the Zendo. There's a kind of like you need to do this work.
Mm.
Actually, from a different perspective, and that it took a little while to kind of go, okay, this is where I need to be focusing my attention.
Mm.
Mm.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. Good to see you. Hi, Sue.
Oh, thank you, Josh. This was it was a very comforting talk. When you were talking about Flint saying to you, take care where you place your feet, take care how you place your feet in the Zendo, struck me in two ways. If I just went with what you were saying, I was so comforted. But I remember kind of early on, when Flint was here, he told me to take care, and it was something about probably placing my feet. At the moment I can't remember exactly what it was, but when he said that, all I could think of was, oh no, oh no. And I just kind of went through this list in my head of errors
Yes.
raining down on me. And I just made myself terrified.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa, man, you're really not such a good one for this, or something like that. And yet I knew that what he said with kindness.
Yes.
But it took me a long time to begin to pick out what I threw into that and claim it as mine. I mean, I didn't want to. but but eventually I did. And then other times when he would say that to the group, I would you know, when he was giving us often instructions in how to enter the Zendo and do ritual kinds of things, then I could gradually just accept them for what they were.
Yeah.
But for some reason, your talk was, I was just in such a comfort zone that this just rose up in me in a very funny way. And it reminded me once when I was living in Germany, I was at a dinner, and a man who was quite important in the company said to me, "Pay attention." Well, now, in the US, if you say pay attention, that means you're out in left field. You better get your act together.
Yeah.
And I was so stunned by it. And what he meant was, please notice the person over your shoulder. She wants to set down your plate. Or it was, something entirely different. But again, it was the misreading because, the language was different. It's I don't know. It was like Rosemary was saying, you just hit something deep in you
Yeah. And
touches that.
what I'm really appreciating is the response that you had in that moment, that powerful response that is there's an aliveness in oh, I didn't expect this, and I'm not sure I like it, but uh, but there's something that shifts, which I think you're describing there.
Yeah, there is. And it's, I was talking with a friend this week, and, we were kind of talking about what the small things in your life can do for you. How you can react to them this way or some middle way. And how you can kind of come to love yourself by paying attention to the small things.
Yes.
And even just going, good job.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you just have to do something both physical and mental to bring it down into your heart and your body. Anyway, I do.
That's so beautifully expressed, Sue. And I think, what I was pointing to with Rosemary is how can we be our internal friend or our internal teacher, and
because it's hard to love anybody else deeply if you don't love yourself.
Yes.
And that's probably the thing about my years in the the Zendo and the feeling that it's helped me make a friend of myself.
Yes. Yes.
I'll tell you one more thing. My husband said to me once, I don't want to be Buddhist, but he said, I'm sure glad you are.
Oh.
So I think it did make me a more thoughtful, maybe kinder person.
And I'm appreciating your humor. I referred to Suzuki Roshi's seriousness, but also his humor. It's like we can go down a route taking things really seriously, which is important, but also there's some lightness and joy and buoyancy, which I think Jiryu in his introduction referred to.
Well, I spent years working with young children, and if you don't have any humor, it doesn't work. So,
I can,
thank you so much.
I appreciate your playfulness, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Josh, thank you so very much. I really appreciate this. It's something that my heart really needs because when you made what resonated with me was when Thich Nhat Hanh was at Green Gulch, and I guess you said Flint asked him what else might be.
Well, I think Flint heard it as a story which he shared to kind of illustrate the kind of playful nature of practice as well as the serious. Yeah.
Well, I was curious, what are other ways that you make your practice playful? Because I seem to be in sort of struggling in a ditch of challenges, and I'm having a hard time getting past the sort of things that are happening in our world. So I was, you've been a month out of the hospital. Obviously, you've had this recovery, but can you express any more about what you're doing to experience the joy and laughter?
Well, I'm really aware of the particular troubles in the United States, and when I'm preparing a talk, I am actually kind of thinking about that and how helpful or appropriate a particular talk is at this time. So that's one factor when I'm creating a talk. I think I think in my being I do have a strand of playfulness which is also matched by um, a seriousness as well. And I think that's probably why I'm drawn to this particular lineage, Suzuki Roshi, that it's playful and serious. And when I was doing the talk, preparing the talk this morning, I realized, I was getting a little bit too serious here. And I'm aware I need to sometimes balance that out with something lighter and more playful. So I have to kind of check in with myself to create the diet, that's necessary. And I guess maybe it's each of us finding something that gives us joy, even in the midst of such difficulty, whatever the activity is, and taking care of that. Um, so does that make some kind of sense? Yeah. It's maybe the question is what would give me some joy at this moment, some buoyancy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ed.
Hi, Josh. As always, lovely to be with you, and thank you so much for this inquiry talk. And a couple things popped up. One that popped up was, and I don't know, there's been some dispute if this is an exact quote or not, but I remember reading quite some time ago, and it's attributed to the Buddha, who says, once you understand, you'll tilt your head to the sky and laugh.
Yes.
So I'm hoping I do some tilting and laughing before the body's gone. And also thank you for sharing that instruction and an example of take care how you place your feet. And the take care and the how just really resonated for me. And then I had a tangential thought. If in the Zendo or at any point, if you take care how you place your feet, is that also not an awareness and an honoring of ancestors and following that particular way of life?
that's a beautiful strand to identify. I'm loving that because that opens up another dimension to to taking care of the path that you're walking on. It's been walked for many, many years, and that feels very respectful and spacious.
Thanks. Yeah, it was just one of those thoughts out of left field, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah, and I think it offers something in our walking practice that kind of expands it into other areas that we can really learn from. Um, and I love the looking at the sky and laughing.
well, thank you. I loved your talk today.
Thanks, Ed. Good to see you.
Same.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Josh. Just a quick one. I loved your talk, and I want to tell you a very quick story, especially when you referred to the repair shop. When I was in Italy, I was in Italy, and we went to a ceramic factory. And I wish I had remembered to take care of how I placed my feet on the floor, because my backpack knocked over a 650-euro platter that I had to buy.
Yeah.
And when it happened, I thought to myself, I'm going to make this whole again. And here, I brought it with me so I can show it to you.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. How did you do that? How did you put it together again?
Well, a friend of mine who's an artist, she's here, Kelly Jean. I had tried to do the traditional Japanese method with the special,
Kintsugi?
yeah, and you use some kind of glue from a tree, but it wasn't going to work because you have to build a kind of box where you keep the humidity, da da da. So Kelly Jean told me to use epoxy and then to use a gold paint pen. And she said no one would know the difference, and that's how I did it. And so I was thinking about, I know it's time to wrap up, but I was thinking after this, I was thinking, so we can't always take care of how we place our feet.
No.
But we can try to make things whole again.
Yes.
And I love, I agree with Rosemary that it's important. Let's see, I just lost my train of thought. To be curious and to observe. And so if we observe, maybe we can notice. Sometimes we won't even do that. We can notice our missteps. And I had no choice, but somebody noticed at the time and said, if you have to pay for that, take every little piece home with you.
Yes.
And even the little splinters are back in here and were very helpful.
Can we see it again?
Yeah, and part of it, the gold didn't look good. It was just too much of a blotch. So I bought colored pens and I repainted it basically. But yeah, and my son helped me. He was a great help. Because I was overcome with anxiety, and maybe that's what happens when we find ourselves that we find that maybe that wasn't a good step. And he just put the first repair together, and then I was able to move on. So I'm sure there's a message in that too, but I haven't teased that out yet.
That's so timely for the end of our meeting because actually it's ending on taking care and repair, which is so central to our practice and our lives. So that's really, really beautiful. Thank you for that.
And I've been able to use it. I don't know if the ink is food safe, so I just put doilies on top of it, and I'm able to use it. It brings me a lot of joy. So there's some of that smile that you spoke of.
It's a beautiful story. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kathy. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So let's go to the closing verses now, please. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today and supporting each other.